always feeling like you need to be in control might seem like a good thing, right? It might seem like you're prepared, that you're in control of the situation, you've planned, you're just feeling calm. But there's always that underlying anxiety, that fear of either missing out or making a mistake or being judged or whatever it might be that failure if you're not in control, and that rejection and that judgment that it's really consuming you, and it's also consuming those around you, because you are seen as controlling, you're seen as bossy, you're seen as smothering, and I'm sure that's not who you want to be. So it's time to change that. Hold on, I'm interrupting this episode to introduce to you the new ebook Healing from Burnout, Your Guide to Renewed Energy and Well-being. Are you tired of feeling constantly drained and overwhelmed by the demands of modern life? It's time to reclaim your energy, find your inner peace, and embark on a journey towards healing and self discovery. Dive into my interactive ebook, Healing from Burnout, and embark on a transformative journey that will help you learn holistic healing by exploring a range of holistic approaches from mindfulness and meditation to self care practices that will rejuvenate your mind, body, and spirit. Create personalized solutions, tailor your healing journey with interactive exercises and strategies designed to suit your individual needs and lifestyle. Find your path forward. Chart your course towards a balanced, fulfilled life with expert insights, actionable tips, and a roadmap for long lasting change. There's also bonus access, downloadable audio guided meditation, insightful journaling prompts, and a powerful visualizations and hypnosis for ongoing transformation and encouragement. Say goodbye to burnout and hello to a vibrant, purpose filled life. Don't miss out on the chance to transform your well being. Get on the waiting list to get your copy of Healing from Burnout and take your first step towards a healthier, happier you. You will be the first to be notified when the ebook goes live, and you will have access to exclusive bonuses. Act now and reclaim your life. Click the link in the show notes to start your journey to healing and well being. Hello, welcome to another episode of the Mindful Introvert podcast. This podcast helps you to get inspiration to manifest a life in alignment with your true, confident, and intuitive being. I'm Jo from mindfulintrovert.com, an inner peace and abundance coach, and my purpose here is really to help you slow down, look inwards, and create a more peaceful life by learning to trust your intuition and exploring your spirituality at a soul level. Ready to be empowered? Let's get on with the episode. So, we have already established that people that want to be in control is most likely because of fear, and that fear is fear of not being in control. And what we're talking about is not you having a day that you just want to be in control. No, this is someone that is always wanting to be in control and cannot relax, cannot receive. And this has some to do with feminine and masculine energy as well, that we spoke about last episode, because someone that is in this energy of control is someone very in tune with their masculine, meaning that they are very, and this has nothing to do with being a male or a female or non-binary or whatever the gender people identify as. It has all to do with the underlying energy. And this masculine energy in this situation has to do with protecting yourself, and you put up this wall, you put up this armor, that maybe you've gone through difficult moments of your life that you felt like you had to have those walls up. So you're protecting yourself so that people don't take advantage of you, don't lie to you, don't deceive you. And so it's just a protection mechanism. But what happens is that it's a very overpowering energy that people don't like. Let's just say that. But when it comes to embracing your feminine energy, that might seem that is not safe. So embracing this feminine energy in this context would be like surrendering to others. Maybe your partner decides where you're going to have dinner tonight, what restaurant you're eating out, or where you're traveling to, or something, I don't know, like you're just allowing others to make the decisions for you or with you, not necessarily you having to make the decisions all for yourself and you have the final word. So it's just allowing others to either enter a partnership with you or to make the decisions and be quote unquote in control in that situation. But again, this can be a trauma response, and it is important to recognize this because this feminine energy needs to be more in tune with their emotions, needs to be more in a receiving state. And when you went through trauma, you're not going to be as easily available to be in touch with your emotions, to be in touch with your inner self, because usually people that have unprocessed trauma don't want to get in touch with their feelings, and they again build up this armor that is their protection mechanism, and they say, and they can almost become very stoic, but at the essence of it, they lose touch with themselves and they start to get in touch a lot with their ego. And I want to demystify ego. I've talked a lot about ego on this podcast, but I want to demystify here. So when I speak about ego, it's not something bad, okay? So this masculine energy and the ego, it's not something that is bad. It's something that is very conscious based, meaning that is the intellect, is the, and not even just the intellect, is the survival instincts as well, you know. So you put up this wall because you want to protect yourself, you want to save yourself from rejection, you want to save yourself from failure, from and that judgment that comes with sometimes making mistakes, or maybe be authentically you when people not really understanding who you are or why you're like that. So that misunderstanding can lead you to feel this way, and to feel like you need to get in control of your life and almost show this persona that is sometimes not necessarily who you are and or who you really want to be. But yeah, I was talking about the ego. Ego basically it's that flight, freeze, or fight mechanism, that amygdala part of your brain that is very reptile based, part of your brain that is extremely ancient, that is just there to protect you. So it shuts down your emotional receptors and connectors and all of that, so you don't feel as much, and you get to detach yourself from being in touch with your emotions. And then that, because you're so out of touch, you don't recognize that is fear that is coming, and because that is an unprocessed emotion, you are going to exert or want to exert that power over others. So that's how the process happens, because it's almost like seen as the fight part of the 3F's response, right? The trauma response. It's you need to fight, you need to be in control so that people don't take advantage of you, that you don't lose that respect, or you don't lose the comfort or the safety or whatever it is that you're looking for. So, and it's interesting to understand if you are like this in all areas of your life, because sometimes you need to exert more control in your professional life at your job, and that's completely different than being at home very controlling. So it's interesting to understand if this is just an overall thing across all areas of your life, or if it's just really for a certain area. And if there was something that happened or that is happening in that area of your life that makes you believe that you need to act that way, what is actually what you need to be comfortable enough to take a step back and allow people in, allow help, allow the partnership and this interaction between the community and your coworkers, your partner, your family, your friends, to come in and really share that control. So this takes a lot of introspection and reflection. And yesterday, funnily enough, I was doing an exercise. So I'm currently doing my certification in holistic coaching with ICF accreditation. And we were doing a self-love class, and we were doing this exercise about naming 3 of our weaknesses and listing for each weaknesses or quirks, for each of them listing 2 positive things that it would be that came out of it, meaning that how it fulfills the purpose of being something positive. So I came up with one that was smothering. That was sometimes I just want to know everything very fast, or I just want to be in control. And I came to understand that that is a way to show love and affection and care. So if I'm talking to my loved ones and I want to know fast, and I want to know what's going on with them, and sometimes it can be too incisive. I don't even know if that's the word. Too just on you, like too not clingy. I used to be very clingy. Used to be very toxic. But again, it was just fear. It was just fear of loss. And when you're in a scarcity mindset, especially in romantic relationships, I'm just going on a tangent here. Bear with me. Especially in romantic relationships, when you're very clingy and your attachment style is very anxious, it can be because of something that happened in your past, or something that really led you to believe that without that person you're going to be alone forever, and if you're alone, it's the end of the world, and you're never going to be able to come out of that situation, and you're never going to be happy again. So again, this is just our brain lying to us, and it needs to, because we cannot survive alone in the world, or at least not forever. You need that social aspect of your life, and we need to build a sense of community and belonging. And so if you believe that you're going to be alone and that is the death of you, obviously you're going to do everything to not be alone, and to be loved, and to be just taken in, held, and belong to someone and to something higher than yourself, right? So, and it's a way of your brain for survival. You survive when you're quote unquote in packs, and you need to find your pack. You need to belong to that so that you can survive. But yeah, so coming to that idea of the exercise that I was doing yesterday, show love and affection and care. But sometimes it's just too much, or it's just not in the way that the other person wants to receive. And sometimes it's just too much. So all in good balance. And then the other one was that, in fact, what also led me to record this episode is it releases my anxieties and releases my fears by worrying and overthinking. So this is a very interesting concept, because many people don't recognize that overthinking and worrying can have benefits. I like to believe that overthinking, again, is just my ego, just my brain protecting me for survival. And it's also means that I have immense creativity. If you are an overthinker, you need to be incredibly creative, because you cannot come up with all the different scenarios in your mind and just like come up with the outcomes of those horrible scenarios sometimes if you're not extremely creative. So someone that is not creative is not going to overthink. They're just going to be hypnotized in front of the TV, playing video games or whatever. You know what I mean? If you are overthinking and worrying, you are extremely creative and you are extremely, or not extremely, maybe I'm being a little bit of a extremist here. You, at least you have some sense of organization, because I don't know how you overthink, but when I overthink and worry, I tend to have a certain structure to my process, meaning that I come up with an intrusive thought, and that leads to another one, and then I worry about something else, and then I go through all areas of my life that are going to collapse. But it's a sense of organization and structure to my worry. So it's just a way to process anxiety, process fear. But there is actually a CBT technique that is it's a cognitive behavioral therapy technique that is actually scheduling in that worry time. And I like to do brain dumps, so I journal sometimes when I'm stressed and I don't really can understand what it is, and I want to binge eat, or I want to I'm just stressed. You know, that unease feeling. What I do is I just write, and sometimes I just put the paper to the bin, and I don't save it, you know, because it's just a process, a physical process of writing down what you're feeling, writing down your stresses. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a cohesive text at all. You just have to let it out. Or sometimes what I do, I record audio notes as well, or I talk to myself in the car. So it's just do all that you can to process, and sometimes bring to light things that are in the shadow, because that is extremely important. And that is shadow work, you know, like this is doing the uncomfortable work, talking to yourself, yelling to yourself in the car. That is shadow work, you know, because if someone looks at you, if even me talking about this, if you're not really completely relating to this, you're thinking, oh, she's crazy. You know, and that is shadow work, is you doing what maybe other people think is crazy. But if it works for you, if it helps you process your trauma, if it helps you process your emotions, amazing, you know, bringing to the light what needs to come. That is just what needs to happen. Who cares about other people? So that was the idea of this control and this overthinking and this overwhelm. But at the same time, I think it's interesting to see this from the perspective of who's being controlled. You know what I mean? So like, who's on the receiving end of you wanting to be in control? So if you put in yourself in their shoes, they might be thinking that you don't trust them, because when you are imagine you're being micromanaged at work, you believe that your manager doesn't believe that you're trustworthy, you don't know what you're doing, you need to always be babied because you don't know what you're doing, you know? And so that sense of trust is really important. And when you feel yourself wanting to control, remember that the other person might be feeling like there's a lack of trust from your side, and that really takes a toll on relationships, all kind of relationships, co-workers, friends, family, partners, romantic partners. All kind of relationships need trust and need respect. And sometimes when you are exerting your control, and especially sometimes the way you do it, the tone you use, it really the relationship can really start to take a toll and just crumble in front of you. And then you don't understand why, because in your brain you're just saying, oh, but I love you so much, or I'm just want to make sure that everything goes right, and I want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And yes, everyone wants to make sure they're doing the right thing. No one purposefully makes mistakes, at least not that I'm aware. So everyone wants to do their best, but when you put in that pressure of doing your best, of being the best version that you are or that you can be, so it's so pressured. It has to do with energy as well. So is relaxing, is allowing things to unfold the way they have to unfold. Yes, always take precautions and plan and understand the direction that you're wanting to go in life and your goals, but at the same time is allowing some leeway, allowing some space for things to be flexible and for other people to help, and just this partnership with the universe, with other people, with yourself, meaning that sometimes your higher self also has something to say, your ego has something to say. So it's not about listening more to your ego, listening more to those fears, but it's also allowing your higher self to come in and talk to you. But the thing about that is that your higher self speaks a little bit lower volume than your ego. Your ego is louder. Your ego is just that obnoxious inner critic that sometimes takes advantage of the peaceful attitudes and energy of the higher self. So sometimes it's difficult to understand who's talking. That's why you really need to connect to your intuition. You really need to connect to your body so that you can understand the signals. Sometimes pains, tension, little ticks, that can be an idea, like a little notion that something is going on, that you're disconnected from your body, and that's why you are receiving those signals. So yeah, lots to uncover here. Those control issues based on fear. Almost all behaviors that are quote unquote seen as negative are stemmed from fear. So once you start to process all of this, bring this to the light, you are going to be able to clear this need to be in control, and you are going to find alternative ways to show love and affection and care to other people without smothering them, without having to go your way all the time, you know? And that just becomes this beautiful partnership that everyone is trusted and respected, and it's just blissful. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but there's an intention and a space to create that bliss, if that's what I'm meaning. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Make sure you're on the waitlist for the ebook Healing from Burnout. It's launching next week with a very special bonus episode. So stay tuned and go to the show notes to get on the waitlist now. If you are fully committed to your growth, I invite you to book a free inner peace assessment call with me, where we create an action plan to manifest a life worth living with more inner peace and self-love. And for more inspiring content, follow me on Instagram at Coach Joana Calado and subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Intuitive Being. I will leave everything in the show notes so that you do not miss a thing. I'll see you in the next episode, and until then, slow down and trust yourself. Bye.